Hey guys, this is Dave, and I just wanted to talk about some of the reasons behind doing these exercises, a little bit of the brain research that I've been reading, and my experience with these exercises. So first, I want to start with my experience because that's really the biggest motivator for me doing these. I have been juggling for about 15 years on and off, not super into it. Sometimes I would go a year without doing it, something like that. And I didn't think much of it until I started reading about how it changes your brain. And then, I could juggle three balls for a while. Recently, about a year ago, I started juggling four balls, trying to. And that's a totally different level. And now that I can juggle four balls pretty consistently, I can feel the difference in my brain. And that was a huge motivator. Once I realized that I could do it for four balls, and the difference is that it's faster. You're moving your hands faster, you're paying attention to four things instead of three, and they're all moving faster. And I just felt different. I could feel this subjective difference. And I think it has also made me smarter. I think it's made me better able to deal with complex thoughts and stuff like that. So anyway, that's been my experience with juggling. Another thing, the plyometrics, was I had knee surgery a year ago, and I had been watching videos on YouTube and stuff about how doing different patterns with your hands and your feet puts a bigger load on your nervous system and activates it more, and then that's good. So then I took those two things together and said, oh, wait a second, juggling mixed with plyometrics must really activate your nervous system and coordinate your whole body and your mind. So that was that. And then I was reading all this research about neuroplasticity, how the brain changes, and probably the biggest thing that I've taken away from all of this is that the brain can adapt, but the brain adapts to whatever you're doing as you're doing it. So if you do one thing for a very long time, the brain will it will get very good at doing that thing. And it will be able to deal with all the nuanced differences, the little tweaks that come out when you do something for a long time. So juggling three balls, for example, just three ball juggling. Here, looks like this. Right? This is it's a pretty complex movement. And if you do it for a long time, your brain will get good at it. It will get good at following objects moving at that speed. It will get good at following three objects. It will get good at figuring out where the ball is going to land, how to throw it. All the little nuances and skills that go into that, your brain will get good at. And that's if you do one thing for a long time. The other way that the brain can adapt is when you do many different things. What happens is, so going back to when you do one thing, it's kind of like let's call that vertical learning, because you learn on many layers of kind of a restricted activity. You learn it on many levels. When you do many different activities, for example, throwing one ball, crossing your hands, doing it in the same hand, doing it in the other hand, just mixing it up in as many different dimensions as you can, mixing it up with as many variations as you can, the brain develops on a different level. It's kind of a horizontal thing, but it develops on a higher, more general level where it's more flexible. It can more easily adapt to new movements that are kind of similar. So if you're throwing one ball, two balls, three balls, and you're mixing it up, you're going back and forth, you're doing behind your back and all these different things, that's going to adapt your brain on a higher level to make it easier for you to try new patterns that are physical with a ball, and that's why it's good to mix it up with different sizes, different shapes, and get your brain used to different types of stimuli. The more you do that, the more generally flexible your brain becomes. And especially if you do it with your legs too, that just develops the whole body. You become more flexible in your entire mind-body coordination. And then I'm a math teacher, so I added math in there. And math is, kids are struggling with math, and we've totally cut it off from the body. I mean, we've cut off the mind from the body, and we think math only happens here. But there's a lot of studies in embodied cognition where kids who learn gestures for math problems, for math strategies, do better than kids who don't learn gestures, do hand gestures. Like, here's a strategy, right? 2 and 1. Like, just kind of abstract hand movements that help kids learn more. Because the body is connected to the mind, and our thoughts are connected to our bodies. So that's my basis for all these things. And I'd love to hear if you have any comments, any feedback, agree, disagree, or any questions about it. So I'll talk to you next time.